Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm Vinny. This is your first time watching this stuff. Welcome. So I came back here today. Now that the snow settled a bit, it was much easier to come here this time. It's such a nice day today. I want to talk about something today that, although a lot of people talk about it, I don't think it hurts to talk about it myself. Drive the point across. Reach as many people as I can. To help people, maybe get a better grasp and understanding of why these things happen to us. So, what am I talking about? Well, you know that thing you're always chasing? Because this is what we all do in our lives. We spend we spend our entire lives chasing things because of the conditioning that we have received, because of this false idea that by chasing specific things, that when we finally get these things after we chase after them for so long, and that is if we get them, right? Because not everybody gets the things that they're chasing for because of all the reasons that I've talked about in many of my other videos in the past. So if this channel is new to you and for some miraculous algorithm reason you ran across it and you like it, feel free to go back and watch more of my stuff. I got plenty of, uploads to keep people busy if they're new to the channel. I have seen so many videos recently on my feed because of the things that I watch, on YouTube, which is all stuff related to the stuff that I do here, right? It's always spiritual related talking, people my age and older talking about all the things that they finally realize in their lives and the things that, let's say, they're regretting now because now they get it. And it's a good thing that people, at least they realize these things and they admit it to themselves and to other people, and they come out here willing to put themselves on a camera and talk about these things, right? I think it's great for everybody. I think everybody wins with that. So what people talk about, is the fact that, people chase things all their lives. Whether it is that job promotion you always wanted, the better life, the bigger house, the nicer car, the bigger money, the bigger amount of, money in the bank account. And what do all these people end up doing later on in their lives is realizing that after they've gotten all that stuff that they were going after, and like I said, that is if and when they get it, they finally come to this realization that there's always like this void, this feeling, this, emptiness. That even though, they spend all this time, energy, years of their lives going after these things. And to top it off, throughout this process, they were pleasing other people as well. Don't forget that part, because that's very important. There was a lot of people pleasing involved on this shenanigans. It happens to a lot of people. I can relate. Trust me on that one. Only to realize that really it didn't feel as great as they thought it would feel. It didn't feel fulfilling that everybody thought it would feel. There was no great amount of joy or happiness at the end. After all, after all that work, after all that energy, after all that time spent running, going after all these things. And the other thing is, if for any reason someone is watching this and it's not vibing with you, then you're probably not ready to listen to what I'm saying. That's all that is, so feel free to click away if that's the case. I don't have a problem with that at all. What I do here, the things that I talk about, the stuff that I do is meant to reach the right people at the right time. So the chances are, if you came across this for whatever reason, like I said, there's a reason. It may sound cliche, but it's true. There's a reason. There's a reason for everything in our lives. Everything happens for a reason. And I know this sounds cliche as heck, but it's true. And once you live your life long enough, you're going to figure that out. You're not going to need me or anybody else here on this platform to tell you these things. Once you've lived long enough of your life, of your own personal experience on this realm, you're going to figure that out. And when that day comes, then you may remember that random guy on YouTube that you watched the video talking about these things, and you might think to yourself, wow, actually, he wasn't wrong after all. So, yeah, because, this feeling that we have, this void that remains, this point that most people don't seem to be able to get to reach to, is because they're chasing things outside of themselves that will never really make them feel good about themselves in a real, tangible, felt way. Like deep within yourself, at the very core of your very being. Because you are not the flesh and bone, like many people may think, and I've talked about this many times in many other videos, right? We all have a soul. We all have this eternal energy within ourselves that will never cease to exist, regardless of what your belief system is. It doesn't matter. And feel free to believe whatever you want to believe. But the day you leave this realm, you're going to find out that what I'm talking about here is actually true and a fact. So whether you believe it or not, it won't make a difference in the end. But because once you leave this realm, you will see that what I'm saying is actually true. We always chase things outside of ourselves because of what I said, the external things that affect us, mold our way of being, thinking, feeling, our personalities as we're growing up as humans, right? All of these things. And for a lot of us, it takes an entire lifetime to come to the realization that all these things that we are chasing, that are outside of us, they are really pointless and meaningless. Because at the end of the day, at the end of this life cycle of ours that's finite and has a timer on it, the things that will matter are what you have lived and experienced, that have made you grow as a soul, learn things, get a better understanding of the entire experience itself and what it does to you on a soul level. And the reason why we have to come back and repeat this experience so many times is because it it is impossible for any any eternal being, any soul, to be able to learn all that there is to learn and to develop properly in this specific environment here in one lifetime. That's just not feasible. It doesn't happen that way. Time goes by very fast. And this is why I always like to talk about, be smart with how you utilize your time. Do it wisely. That's extremely important. And now we have this young generation that they spend all their time scrolling things, feeding their minds with useless and harmful things that are not going to help them in any way in their lives, right? But that will bring this like illusionary sense of being seen. It's the dopamine. It's the dopamine that, all these apps that exist out there today, that a lot of people are like living their entire lives around these things. Like that's the real world. It's pretty scary, to be honest. You have all these things going around now. Life was so much easier and simpler and better when I was a kid. That's how I look at it when I look back. We had it all. We had it all so good, so perfect. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So I don't know how it's going to be the next time I choose to come to this realm, because it's going to be completely different than it was last time around. That's for sure. But if I have a choice in that matter, like I said in the past, I'm going to choose to take a little vacation from this place for a while after I leave my existence here. Because we need to take a break from this stuff sometimes. So the reason why we feel this emptiness, still this void, this feeling that we're lacking something and we haven't gotten what we were expecting to get, especially as we get older, right? Is because we were doing it all wrong. We were doing it all wrong, all the way up until this point, until we have this realization ourselves. All that happiness, all that joy, all that, wanting to feel seen, heard, validated, all these things that everybody's chasing, right? It's all within. You've always had it. You don't have to go anywhere outside of yourself to look for these things and to experience these things and to feel these things, because these things are an integral part of what you are as this soul experiencing this physicality here. That's all that there is. And until everybody gets to understand and realize this on a deep level, right? Through introspection, sitting within themselves, experiencing that silence and what many call solitude, which really isn't solitude, because I've talked about this many times as well. No one is ever alone, even though it may feel that way sometimes. Because everything you need is within. It's always been there. You just have to learn how to reach within, to experience and feel all these things that you're always looking for it outside of yourself. And it's really not as hard as a lot of people think or may make it out to be. Truly. So in order for someone to truly learn how to enjoy their own lives, in a real sense, they have to learn how to enjoy themselves first, their own company. And this is why I talked about in many of my videos how important it is for people to spend time alone with themselves. It's a very powerful thing. Now, that doesn't mean you have to, live your whole life alone for the rest of your life. Well, some people would choose to do that. Sometimes we've lived enough of these things in other lives that we don't feel the need to do that in this life. That's how it is for some of us. But spending some time alone is a powerful thing. It'll make you learn so much about yourself. It'll make you grow. It'll make you evolve at such a faster pace as well. This is the other thing. And really, I think I'm going to wrap this all up here now. This wind is starting to bite my hands. I chose to take my gloves off to do this recording, and my hands are feeling now. And I think it's long enough. 17 minutes is more than long enough. So, if you liked this, don't forget to click that like button, share, subscribe. If you're subscribed, make sure you hit that notification button so you know when I put stuff up. I usually put stuff up every day, but sometimes I take breaks here and there. And yeah. And then, after watching this, feel free to go YouTube and watch other people talking about the same stuff to see how there are many of us, who have lived things now and experienced things. And now we're here, giving you our input on these things and letting you know that it's all for nothing. We waste our time on these things, and then, once we reach this point in our lives, we realize, wow, I wasted all that time and energy, and I'm still not feeling the way I thought I would be feeling right now. And that's why. Don't take my word for it. Feel free to watch other people as well. We know what we're talking about because we've lived it. So I'm going to leave it at that, my friends. And I will catch you all on the next one. Take care. Be safe. Stay warm. I love you.